What does it take for a company to survive sanctions, global competition, and technological bottlenecks and still come out on top? For Huawei, the answer has been relentless innovation and the courage to push boundaries. But how does a company go from a tiny startup to a global telecom leader? The story begins with Ren Zhengfei's early struggles and the bold decisions that set Huawei on its path. Ren Zhengfei wasn't born a tech mogul. He was a military engineer who, after leaving the army, hit rock bottom. Betrayal, unemployment, even divorce. But in 1987, with just 21,000 RMB, about $3,000, scraped together, he founded Huawei in Shenzhen. Back then, Huawei would sell anything it could, believe it or not, even diet pills. But Ren soon spotted something bigger: telecom switches. At first, Huawei was just a middleman reselling switches from Hong Kong. A switch is basically the core device that makes sure one phone can connect to another. But that business quickly became overcrowded. Others gave up. Ren didn't. He believed communications would be the backbone of the future. By 1989, Huawei decided to take the leap into making its own products. At first, it was crude copy and patch. Their BH01 switch was clunky, but cheap enough to win some customers. Still, Ren knew survival required control of the core technology. So Huawei pushed deeper into R&D, releasing the BH03, their first fully independent system, and training young engineers like Zheng Baoyong to carry the torch. Then came disaster. In 1992, Huawei bet everything on a switch for government offices. The bet failed. The company was nearly bankrupt. But just when it looked over, a 25-year-old prodigy, Li Yinan, built the CNC08 digital switch. That single product saved Huawei. More than that, it gave them a new strategy: focus on the places others ignored. While competitors chased big cities, Huawei built networks for villages and counties. Their philosophy is surrounding the cities from the countryside, and it worked. By 1995, China launched the massive Village Access program to connect rural areas. Huawei rode that wave and revenues soared. Then they copied the same playbook abroad: go where it's tough. While global giants fought for rich countries, Huawei dug into underserved markets with lower prices and better service. Slowly but surely, they clawed their way into Europe itself. But success brought new problems. As Huawei grew, factions emerged inside the company. Ren Zhengfei responded with iron-fisted reforms. He introduced ISO quality systems, pushed through IPD, integrated product development, and even invited IBM to overhaul Huawei's management. The process was brutal. Over 100 senior managers were removed, but out of that pain came structure. In 1998, Huawei issued its famous Basic Law, creating an employee stock system that tied the company's fate to its workers. That decision gave Huawei unmatched resilience against global giants. By the 2000s, Huawei had surpassed Ericsson to become the world's largest telecom equipment provider. Most companies would have stopped there, not Ren Zhengfei. He wanted Huawei to enter the smartphone race. At the time, the idea sounded like a joke. In 2003, Huawei launched its phone division, but early models were just cheap operator-branded devices with razor-thin margins. Then came the iPhone. Huawei realized that smartphones weren't just gadgets, they were the future of the internet. So in 2011, Huawei created its consumer business group and put a bold, controversial leader in charge, Yu Chengdong, nicknamed Big Mouth Yu. Yu had a three-part plan: cut low-end phones, double down on in-house chips, and launch a new sub-brand, Honor. His first attempts, the P1 and D1, flopped. Executives demanded his removal, but Ren Zhengfei stepped in with a simple message: I'll give him the money, let him try. It was the right call. The sleek P6 brought Huawei design recognition. Honor went head-to-head with Xiaomi online, and the Mate series staked a claim in the premium market. The turning point came in 2014, when the Mate 7 exploded in popularity, selling over 7 million units. By 2018, Huawei had sold 200 million phones and was the #1 brand in China. Just as Huawei prepared to take on Apple and Samsung at the very top, the storm hit. The US imposed sweeping sanctions. CFO Meng Wanzhou was arrested. Huawei was cut off from the global supply chain. Phone sales collapsed by half. Ren Zhengfei admitted, "We believed in globalization, but this part of our business has been severely damaged." Most companies would have folded. Huawei didn't. They launched what they called the Nanyuan plan with 3 survival weapons. High silicon chips. Even without EUV lithography, Huawei and SMIC pushed 7nm chips using multi-patterning. Harmony OS, a new operating system built with 2,000 engineers and over 200 partner companies, creating an ecosystem beyond Android. Local supply chains, screens, storage, CMOS sensors, power modules, hundreds of Chinese companies stepped in to replace foreign suppliers. After 3 years of adjustment, Huawei launched the Mate 60 in 2023 with domestic chips, achieving strong sales and regaining a leading position in the Chinese market. In its first week, it sold 276,000 units. By 2024, sales had topped 10 million, reclaiming Huawei's spot as China's top smartphone maker. By 2023, Huawei's revenue had bounced back to over $98 billion. In 2024, it is on track to hit nearly $120 billion, reclaiming the crown as China's largest private company. Looking back, Huawei's journey mirrors China's tech rise, from scrappy beginnings to global dominance to a brutal crackdown, and finally to a defiant comeback. While some competitors focused on imitation or marketing strategies, Huawei invested heavily in long-term R&D and technology development. That's why the Mate 60 isn't just a phone, it's a symbol of how resilience and relentless R&D can pay off, even under crushing pressure. With enough grit and patience, a company can still move mountains. So the question is, if Huawei can stage this kind of comeback, what does it say about the future of global tech competition?